All right. Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Elliot Shore Parks, James Seltzer with you as we begin the march.
So it begins, my guy. So it begins.
How you doing, buddy?
Well, we're technologically advanced here, going live on YouTube, on Twitter, all those good things. I mean,
Just
look,
a couple old guys figuring it out.
Oh, it's propped up by my jacket.
Yeah,
There's wires. I'm sure people are gonna watch this and laugh at this. But look, I'm 35 now. You're God knows how old. So this is this is where we're at. But look, it's playoff time. It's about time we join the rest of the is it the 21st century?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Well, no, technically, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, still. Yeah. So, but it's good. Like I said on the show announcement, we're gonna be doing this every morning around this time until the Eagles are eliminated, which tells me we probably got about 30 of these bad boys to go up until.
This is one of those things where, like, all right, we want to do something fun for the Super Bowl. We love our listeners.
Yes.
We always say there's literally no podcast without you. There's no show
There's
without
not.
you. Like, we only do it for you, for the community, for all of us together. And we're like, you know what? Super Bowl run starting. What can we do to show
be a little
listeners
different?
We care. Let them know we're here. We're gonna be here every day.
We are here every morning talking about the game.
And if it does go 30 days, maybe day 28, we're like, wow, this was
not. Well, here's the deal. You're gonna be getting up at
yes.
You're gonna go from getting up and doing this every morning to getting up at 3:30.
Yeah, this is like nothing for me.
Here's the only downside to doing this. You ready? Like, I don't know how we stretch 5 days of content out of this trash Giants team.
Oh, you are coming in hot.
I mean, I don't know how we stretch it out, right? Like, nah, I mean, we can get into it now if you want. Just start.
Well, it is funny because, like, we both, and it turns out Vikings just a horrible 13-win team.
You know what the funniest?
All the historic numbers coming out. It's like, oh yeah.
The funniest clip that always circles after the Vikings lose is, remember when Biden's like naming all the states he like won, and he yells Minnesota, and people, it gets me every single time.
Yeah. So look, we both thought the Vikings would win. We both thought, everyone's on the Giants. Whenever that happens with an underdog, it usually doesn't play out that way. And look, the Giants handled business. Credit, they deserve to win that game. They're the better team that day. But I really did think, when we decided over the weekend or whatever it was, Friday, to do this, that we would be coming in this morning talking about the game tonight, deciding.
I did too. I had all my notes ready for the game.
I was ready, and now it's like, it'll be fun to watch a game tonight, but no pressure. Just watch it, whatever.
Yeah.
I said this to you. I don't think I said it off the air. I might have said it on the pod. I don't think so. But the dream scenario of Giants, Cowboys, Andy still on the table.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
And the Niners didn't look that great. I know the final score ended up being,
bad first half.
They were losing at halftime.
Yeah. So we'll get into it. Let's talk. So as Elliot said, we are going to be here every single day.
Yeah.
Until the Super Bowl. We're just
we'll get used to it, obviously, but it's a little distracting.
But
it's good. But it means if you're listening to the audio version, there's a YouTube version of it.
Yeah, if you want to get up early with us in the morning, and again, sometimes they'll be longer, shorter, whatever.
Yeah.
But every day we will be here. And you can check us out on video.
Yeah.
Hi, if you're watching on video.
You can watch us on YouTube. We actually, it's coincidentally, had someone tweet us on the Go Birds account saying, when are you guys going to do this on YouTube? Because he likes to watch them at work. So if you're at work, you can watch this on YouTube.
And you can also go back and watch this video too.
Exactly.
So
technology, man.
What
the stuff that's available these days.
All
YouTube,
right.
I mean,
let's dive in.
Take off.
Let's talk about the weekend at large first, then we'll get in the Eagles Giants.
Yeah.
Just your reaction, because look, I think as far as super wild card weekends go, that first game obviously a clunker, great first half, then a bad game, but then honestly one of the better.
The Doug game was unbelievable.
One of the better wild card weekends I remember. I mean, really, the Doug game was all time third biggest comeback in the history of the playoffs. Yesterday's games were top notch. I mean, the night game wasn't great, but at least it was close. And I thought the Giants game was great. The Bills game was way better than we expected. Just I think a better than expected weekend.
Well, and also let's be honest, it could not have gone better for the Eagles.
You're
from an Eagles perspective, like not only did the Niners, I thought looked shaky. I mean, again, they were losing at halftime of that game. I think you can look at the final score and go, well, they ended up winning the game. Let's be honest and say if the Eagles played that exact game the Niners do, give up 17 points in the first half, I think they were the Seahawks had the ball going in for the lead until they fumbled it in that third quarter.
Well, that fumble changed the game.
Yeah.
That Geno fumble, like if that doesn't happen, I mean, I still think the Niners win.
I think they win too, but
I don't think it's a blowout.
They didn't blow them out, right? So I think the Niners look definitely beatable. Buffalo, I think they were ever actually going to lose that game, but they certainly did not look great. So from that perspective, you look at the teams that played this weekend that you're saying, all right, from Super Bowl contenders that could get in the way of the Eagles. Those teams didn't look good. But again, they get to play the New York Giants.
Which ironically, I do think, and again, I'm that's the team I wanted. I'm happy they're playing the Giants. I think they'll beat the Giants. I do think the Giants look the best probably of all the teams.
But I also think
funny enough, right?
So I don't disagree with that, but I think that's also because the Vikings clearly
I agree.
were not as good as we thought.
I agree.
And I tried to talk myself into the Vikings. Like they had more talent. And we'll get into the coaching staff thing with the Giants, obviously, which is going to be a huge talking point. But I thought the poster moment for the Giants for me in that game was a big third down late in the game. I think it was maybe even less than a few minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Dable calls up a play to get Darius Slayton wide open. No one around him. And he dropped it.
It was
Why?
like a 3rd and 15.
Yeah.
And he would have gotten
He would have, if not more, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because they're just not that talented of a team. So as good of a coach as Brian Dable is, and he gets credit for what he did yesterday for sure, they're just not, they don't have a ton of talent. They just don't. Like, I really truly believe that even of the teams that are eliminated, they have the least talent on the team.
I think the Seahawks are the only one. And the Dolphins without Tua, but if the Dolphins had Tua, I would say they're absolutely more talented.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. And I think Seattle, you could say talent-wise, is probably similar to the Giants, but I agree with your general point.
Yeah, I mean, I think DK Metcalf is probably better than Saquon.
Sure.
Tyler Lockett's better than any receiver they have. They have, whose name's escaping me, the cornerback that I think led the NFL in interceptions on Seattle. And then Miami, obviously, you look at, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I mean, speaking of like things to take away from the weekend, if Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle catch the catch, they might win that game, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't see it with the Giants. And I think my kind of main thought coming into the start of all these pods and previewing the game is any team they would have played this weekend, even if we were doing this tomorrow and we're talking about the Bucs beat the Cowboys or the Cowboys beat the Bucs, any team they were going to play, even if Seattle beat San Francisco, it would have been, oh man, they're coming in hot, because they would have just won a playoff, right? Had Seattle beaten San Francisco, everyone would have been like, before the game, it's like, oh, you really hope it's Seattle. And then afterwards, it's, well, they did just beat the Niners, right? So I think the proper perspective for this is, yes, any team they were going to play in the divisional round of the playoffs was not going to be a really easy team. The Texans aren't just going to pop up on the schedule, right? Like the Bears aren't going to just pop up. The team they're going to play is going to be a team that made the playoffs and won a playoff game. And that sounds simplistic, but I think it's important to say, because even with those caveats, like, the Giants are the team you would hope for. You've seen them a ton of times. They're like, Daniel Jones looked really good passing against the Vikings, because the Vikings have a really bad pass defense. The Eagles have one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. If you look at the Giants defense, the Giants do not have a good pass rush. They do not have an elite edge rusher. That works out well for Lane. Like, the matchups all over the field benefit the Eagles. In fact, I was thinking about this last night. Is there a single position besides running back where you could say the Giants are better?
I mean, Andrew Thomas has been better than Mailata this year. He's
probably
like guy or whatever. I mean, you could argue Thibodeau's ceiling is talent wise up there with Josh Sweat. Or
I think he only. No, I know he missed time, but didn't he only have like 5 or 5?
Either way, he's flashed and has played better in the second half of the season. I'm generally with you, but I think they're probably. I mean, I'm sure the Giants punter is better than ours. Like they're seriously though, they're spots. But I generally agree with your point. And I think something else with the Giants yesterday, and everyone's going to watch the game and be like, oh, look out for the Giants. You know what freaking mattered? The Giants resting their starters in week 18 freaking mattered. You know who looked freaking fresh as hell? Saquon. That dude looked awesome. He was fucking earmuffs. Wow. Sorry. Whoa.
Oh, and live.
It's early in the morning.
Yeah.
Bursting through the light. Like, he looked great. Like, they looked like fresh and ready. Yeah. Daniel Jones looked fresh and ready to play. Like, oh, wow, week off. That mattered. Yeah. You don't just got a week off while the Giants are playing the Philadelphia freaking Eagles when they needed a week off. I'm right there with you. Look, we saw the only time these two teams have squared off where they were full strength and going at each other. The Eagles won 48-22, and it wasn't that close.
And the score was not
that was closer. The score makes it seem closer than it actually was. So I get it. I think it's a great point, because no matter who it was, they're going, oh, look what they're coming in like this. And the Giants, I think, are the perfect team to be that to the nth degree, because they are so well coached. And Daniel Jones, he's better than we thought. And you know what? He is. He is flat out better than we thought. Like, no doubt about it.
He's not turning the ball over the way.
But you know what else I'll say? I'm pretty freaking stoked that he just earned himself a bunch of money. I'm pretty freaking stoked that the Giants are going to commit to him. And he's not bad. He's not, you can win with the guy. You can, especially with Dable. It seems like Dable can, you guys got enough talent. But like, am I happy?
He's not a $35 million.
Am I happy they're not in the quarterback market? Yes. One thing we didn't talk about at the end of the season, but it is, the NFC East, by the way, back. If the Cowboys win tonight, 3 of the 4 teams in the NFC left are NFC East. Yeah. And the fact that Washington went 8-1, just as an aside, we haven't talked about a lot, but great quarterback draft.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's a good point.
Way to go 500, boys. Way to win games this year unexpectedly, Giants. Love it. Love it. But yeah, coming out of yesterday, I think on the whole, the Giants did look good. Like they looked good. And I think partially because Minnesota's bad. Like you said, I mean, who'd have thunk all those historic stats about the Vikings and their run score differential and all that. Like who'd have thunk it?
But what's crazy is
they're not that good a football
the
team.
Giants also had a negative point differential going into the playoffs. Now they didn't win. I don't know what the Vikings ended up winning, like 12, 13 games. Yeah. Now they didn't win 13 games, but they also had a negative point differential heading into the playoffs. And your point about Daniel Jones, here's where the Giants do present, the worry, I guess, is they're coming in with nothing to play for. If
they are already riding.
Right.
It's all house money.
If the Cowboys
house money thing, they are full on. They're as house money as it gets right now.
Yeah.
They won a playoff game.
Right.
The Giants this year won a freaking
and they made the playoffs. Like it's literally. I mean, look.
I guess I didn't think about it, but it must be their first playoff win since like the
early
Super Bowl. Was it the Super Bowl?
I mean, it has to be
since 11, right? Because I know it hadn't. They hadn't made it since
they
16.
lost to Green Bay that year.
So it has to be
right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the Phillies that made the World Series run are obviously more talented, clearly, than this Giants team. But it's a little similar to the Phillies in the way that once the Phillies got in, they won their World Series. Like that was it. Once the Giants got in,
which is how the Giants won that Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And they were a more talented Giants team. But
they had a way better pass rush.
Yeah. And they had Eli.
They had Eli.
Like, who, not the best ever, but still like we know can win big games.
But the concern with the Giants would be, and I'm going to try not to say this every time I talk about the Giants this week, but I will say it on this initial pod a few times. The concerns we're looking for with the Giants are ones you have to look for. They are not concerns that pop off the page. It's not, oh my God, it's Tom Brady. It's not, it's CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. It's, okay, how could this game be competitive? Like, what are the areas you look for, right? And I think one of them is the Giants are coming in with almost nothing to play for in a way. And it puts
that implies negative. It's nothing to lose.
Yeah, nothing to lose, I guess.
Because they have a lot to play for.
Yes, obviously.
But the point is they're coming in with like little to lose.
There's
not much pressure on the Giants.
And it's like the Phillies in the way where the Phillies were able just to play loose the entire World Series.
Once they got in, it was all like,
and then once they went up in the World Series, they got tight and that was it, right?
Absolutely.
So if you look at this Giants team, that's where they're at. Like you could see that they're just playing incredibly loose. They're playing incredibly confident. So there's that danger with them that they are the team that if they can get up 7-0 on the Eagles, and we'll get into it this week, but
especially with Martindale and the blitzing and the problems, and if Jalen, and we both think that Jalen will be good out there, but like if Jalen is, still really hurt because we know he's hurt and all, if they are concerned about him getting hit and all that, and if the Giants' whole thing is let's just go at him and get guys on him and stuff, I could see if the Giants get an early lead, especially if they can make it 10-0 or something like that, where that could be a situation where it's like we're sitting there in the second quarter and we all look at each other and go, earmuffs 1, 2, 3. Oh shit. Right. That is certainly plausible. I'm not expected at all, but plausible.
Well, and that's where I will put pressure on Gannon and the defense this week. You cannot do the 9-minute whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Like you gotta look, if you give a touchdown up in the first quarter and then you hold them to 17 points, then it is what it is. But you just can't put it where the defense is the reason they're falling behind early. So there's that. But on the flip side, big picture of the Giants having, playing with house money, the Eagles are in a very unfamiliar situation here, right? They've been favorites this year. They've been the top dog.
It really hasn't been since the Andy early, like not even the last Andy team, like the 2000,
04 teams,
the 04, 03, 02 teams,
right?
Since they were the 1 seed and favorites in the playoffs.
Well, even just think about favorites. Were they favorite to Seattle?
Were they? No, they were.
I would think not.
I don't remember if they were. It was close. I don't think they were. Actually.
I don't think they were because they were.
They
won a division.
Close enough is the point. You're right. Yeah.
But I'm saying home playoff favorites. I probably has not been since Andy.
You could just say
04.
How about this? I think you could say playoff favorites. Maybe I don't know if they were because they were on the road.
They went on the road. They probably didn't.
They might have been in one. Maybe that first game as a 6 seed. That last.
So it'll be a good tweet. I'll have to look this up.
And then, I guess they probably would have been favorites. I don't know. In 10, they probably weren't, right? When they
against the Packers?
I don't know. But either way,
They were playing poorly at that point, but they might have been like
the point is either way, like this is certainly the first touchdown favorite line.
Well, and so that's what I mean. Like this team has all the pressure on them. Even if it's close, I think now this is not a style points game. This is this is the style points are gone.
They're done.
Just get the wins at this point, right?
Okay, yes.
But I do think it's a game where, if they don't dominate or if they don't, win by 10 plus, people will do the whole, like blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're going to be one of the biggest favorites of the week. I think you said Kansas City and Jacksonville's 8.5. Yep. So they're not going to be the biggest
the other
favorite.
Ones will not be that big.
Yeah, the Cowboys and Bucks won't be that big of dogs.
And I think the other one's like 4 or something. The Bengals Bills.
So
Bengals Bills, by the way. Wow.
So they're going in as the top dog at a home playoff game where they're expected to dominate. And that's just a different situation. Last year in the playoffs, obviously they were underdogs. Like prime time, Saturday night. It's a really good chance to see where they're at. If they're able to handle this.
At home, no less. Like the pressure, like you said, prime time Saturday night. That is the prime
touchdown favorites.
Touchdown favorites at home against a rival. A rival there's been things with the last couple years, from that, barely be in the last game to the tanking thing to this and that, all that stuff. And to your point, look, while Daniel Jones has won more playoff games than Jalen Hurts, factual. I mean, Jalen only played one and he lost, and I think Jalen deserves, technically deserves a win for the bye. But whatever, I mean, like we need to. There, to your point, like if you're looking, and we both, and as you'll see as the week goes on, Elliot and I are both very confident the Eagles are going to win this game, and we'll, as the week plays out, like never know what changes. But I feel on Monday, knowing we're facing the Giants, knowing the struggles the team had into the playoffs on it, feeling as confident as I could be in this first matchup. I'm really confident, but to the point you're making, like the Giants are coming in with confidence. They're coming in off a win. They looked fresh. They beat they went on the road to win. They know they can go on.
Not a good easy environment to play too. It's not like,
a playoff game.
Right.
And I believe in them, and I believe they're going to win their first one this week. But like to your point, like it's one of those things. It's the moment is so much bigger than any moment we've seen them in before, that we have to see how they react to know how they react.
Well, and also I think moment is the perfect word. And now it might be a good title pod, actually. Like the moment is here. Like think of all the shows we did in the off season about like what makes a successful year. Do they have to win a playoff game? What do you have to see from Jalen? Like, and then even during the year, right? Like, oh yeah, they're playing really well. And we never said this, but they're not playing anybody or whatever, right? Like the moment is here. Like this is where we're going to figure out where this team is at, because if they win it and they make it and they go to the conference championship game, from there on out, look, I think if they get to the conference championship game, they're probably going to win it. And I tweeted this week. I wish I wouldn't have tweeted easily, but I do think they'll beat the Niners.
I think they're better than the Niners.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens, but I think they're better. And again,
by the way, Niners fans, a lot of Niner fans.
Not happy with the.
They were not.
Like, get ready, boys. Whatever.
Yeah.
And look, it's so funny because Brock Purdy's numbers ended up. If you just look at the stat line,
but he wasn't good.
He was not good.
He was not good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like if it had been a better team than Seattle, they could have been down 15.
Daniel Jones is better than Brock Purdy.
I think the Giants have a chance to beat them in that game if the Niners play that way.
I agree.
So like I am right there with you that in that sense, like and again, this is Brock Purdy at home, comfortable against a bad team, like on the road in an uncomfortable environment against a much better defense. Like I need to see that happen before. I think there's a reason no rookie's been to the Super Bowl.
100%.
Like, it matters. So I'm right there with you. And again, they have to win these games and things have to happen, but they are positioned really well. One more thing and I want to get to the rest of the weekend.
I know. Let me just finish what I was going to say.
Yeah.
On the flip side, all that is you can't lose this game.
Well, no, oh my God.
This
is if they lose this game, and I'm actually at the kind of point where I think they need to get the Super Bowl for me to feel like they did what they were supposed to with the season they've had and the matchups they're going to have. But I agree with you. The only way we will ultimately, and you've said this many times, like finding out Jalen is who he is like no matter what this season is, in a way, is a success because you found out Jalen and Nick. Really, you found out, all right, the two guys who matter the most. Like I believe in them in a big way moving forward.
Yeah,
and that's everything. But in reality, like the only way we can look back on this season as like a true disappointment is if they lose on Saturday.
Well, and here's the thing, like I think the year is a success because you have Jalen, you have Nick, like all these things.
Right.
Let's be honest. If they lose the playoff game, that gets dinged, right? Because then they are 0-2 in the playoffs. One game they got blown out, which whatever, and when they were a heavy favorite. So it sounds silly. It's a must-win game.
Hey!
It's like
I know what you mean. Obviously. but like for how we feel about these guys and this team, it's a really, really, really important game. I want to do one more thing on the Eagles Giants, and then I want to do a little bit about Doug in the league before we get out of here. But the one other thing, because it's going to be the theme of the week, because I think the main thing that is going to be the reason that there will be, and there will be, the line opened at 7.5. It's already down to 7 in some places. Like the Giants.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, where do you think it'll close?
I think it'll close like 6. I think it's heading towards the Giants, unless there's late money on the Eagles, which I could see too. I think there will be. But ultimately, I think it's going to hover in the 6 to 7 range all week, somewhere in that.
Which is still pretty heavy favorites.
Still a really solid favorite. But I think the big reason that people, and the reason people should, we're confident, the reason people should give the Giants credit is, and we'll talk about it all week, and you said even at the beginning, kind of joking, like, oh, coach, but like Brian Daboll is great.
Yeah, he's a very,
and if the Eagles are going to lose, it's because we're going to look back at the end of Saturday night and say, wow, Brian Daboll, man. Like, wow. So, like, that guy's actually great. And I don't think they will, but I just want to, because we started being like, oh, the coaching. I don't want to like go on that note, because that is the one thing I fear with the Giants is that.
Yeah, and I think Brian Daboll is far and away the best asset they have.
Without a doubt.
Like, without a doubt. Like, Saquon's a great running back. It's not even, I mean.
Nothing. They don't have anything in the hemisphere of that guy.
Right. Brian Daboll is, I know you don't include the playoffs, but if you include that win, he has a very, very strong case for coach of the year, right?
Yeah,
like
we always said,
Shanahan, Nick, Doug 1-1 now, so that matters. But Daboll is up there. And I'm not trying to diminish it, but I think the only way they lose this game is if the Eagles really earmuffs 1, 2, 3, if they really shit the bed. Mm-hmm. I don't think Brian Daboll can scheme up a way to beat the Eagles. And the other thing, as good as Brian Daboll is, the offense is going up against Wink Martindale, right? Mm-hmm. So that is a difference. And Wink Martindale, he blitzes more than any team in the NFL, and he does that because they have no talent on the defense, right? And the other part, really quick, I was going to say, so I went and looked this up on Pro Football Focus, and I'm sure you guys will be talking about this a ton on your show this week, because I know it's one of Richie's, like, bothers him more than anything else, is the way they pick up the blitz. So I'm sure this will be a topic on your show. But I was surprised to see that Jalen's numbers against the blitz this year are actually pretty good.
Well, when he's running, he is kind of a blitz beater.
But even
that way,
he has 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
I mean, think about this whole
completing over 60%
I'm not
of his
surprised
passes.
Because the way this offense works to begin with, the whole reason that it works so well is that you've got this free guy. You don't have to use the extra blocker, and that your quarterback's doing something and all that. So, I mean, that extends to the blitz too, in the sense that you kind of like, then you have extra guys. Then all of a sudden, if you're bringing guys, Hurts gets free. He's got so much space. Yeah. He can be so dangerous in that spot, but he has to be able to. And look, I think he'll be able to move with the legs. The question is he going to be? And I think the offense will look what it's looked like all year.
But to your point, Brian Daboll is why the Giants have a chance.
Yep.
Because of his coaching and because of the team is playing like a special team. If we like move from like afar, if we remove like the fact that we've seen the Giants twice and that we know how good the Eagles are, if we're a Chicago Bears pod or a Texans pod, we're probably sitting here and going, we're going like, I don't know, man, the Giants might be on a special run.
Sure.
And I don't think they are.
I think that'll be the national, because of the way the Eagles played going into the playoffs. I think there will be more of that noise than there normally would be with these two type of teams matching up. And I think a lot of people are going to go, oh, the Giants, oh, they're playing well, oh, they're able, and oh, the Eagles limped into the playoffs. Right. Hurts is hurt, Lane's hurt, all that stuff. We're going to hear that
100%. And there's a little truth to it, but I don't think it's enough truth. It's going to come down to 2 camps this week. All right, there's going to be a camp of the Giants could keep it close, which whatever. Or is there anyone that's going to actually go on a limb and go, the Giants are going to beat the Eagles? Because that's a major, I think some will too, but I'm just saying, like, there's a major difference between that. Like me and you can sit here and say, well, that could be close for this, whatever. I think we both would be very, very, very surprised if the Eagles lose this game. Like I would be, I don't think I'm going to talk myself into it's 51-49. I think the closest I'll get is maybe 70-30, maybe, but they're just way better.
Like, let's put it this way. And again, we'll see how the week goes. We'll do the Parks Picks pod, all that. Like, I'm picking them to cover, not just win. Like, that's where my confidence level is at. Like, I think they will win this football game. So I'm right there with you. And we'll obviously see how the week progresses and news that comes out and all that. By the way, quick shout out to buddy Kevin Franzen.
Oh.
Of course, TV announcer for the Nationals.
There you go.
He's a big Niners guy, and he's saying Brock Purdy's better than we think. So we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, is he watching live?
Maybe a little bet when the time comes. When
I mean,
Eagles Niners, make a little wager.
Anybody can play quarterback when you just dump it to Debo and he runs like.
It's exactly right. And by the way, like we said at the beginning of the pod, if you want to check,
he's watching live. We're on YouTube. Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the rest of the weekend and then we'll get out of here. And again, we're going to be here every day this week. We're going to talk about this whole match about stuff, but from the rest,
and we'll have Go-Birds Radio,
and we'll be on this weekend leading a game day.
Yeah, leading into
we never get to do game day.
We never get to do.
Honestly, might be the first one we've ever done because we didn't do the Christmas Eve day game.
I think it probably is.
It's probably the first game day.
Yeah, for the playoffs too. That'll be good.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So quickly around the rest of the league. Obviously, it started with Doug. I think that for most Eagles fans, the one.
Dude, Doug was
I'm almost speechless at why. I mean, Trevor, for them to have five turnovers in the first half. Four picks by Trevor Lawrence, for him to come back and play, shows some chutzpah from that dude. For Doug, the way he coached the game, and Doug offensively, it looked like Doug 2017 from a play calling perspective. He had the Chargers completely on their heels that whole second half, called a great game. And again, the third biggest playoff comeback in the history of the sport, and fire Brandon Staley.
Oh yeah, definitely fire Brandon Staley. Wow, without question. I mean, he should have been fired going into the game.
You think maybe they win that game with Mike Williams? What do you think?
Yeah, you think he makes 1 point difference?
One play that matters? Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's one of those games where you almost have to you'll always remember where you were when it happened. And my experience of watching it was interesting because I was at a wedding and I'm obviously following the game on my phone. And I'm like, oh, well, he's got 4 interceptions. It's 27-0. I can probably, stop tracking this as much. And then I'm slowly doing, I'm like, oh, it's 27-10. Or oh, wow, it's, 27-17. And then the next thing you know, we go back to the hotel room, me and my friends catch end of the game. And it went from, wow, they have no shot to winning this to they are driving with the ball and are going to win the game.
Oh yeah, when they made it 2 and then got the ball back, it was oh, they're winning.
Yeah, they're winning.
And it was so funny too, as a and you bet on the Jags. I took the Chargers now.
You did, yeah.
As a it's rare. Look, losing a bet sucks. We all know that. One of those rare runs where I was fine with it because I was so psyched for Doug, and it just made me happy. And I don't care about screw the Chargers, whatever.
Right.
But being a -2.5 Chargers holder in that moment,
it is brutal.
When they get. And I'm actually in a way happy they won because it makes the bad beat worse, because less bad, because at least the Jags won the game. So who cares?
Right,
whatever. I would have lost the bet anyway. Yeah. But if they had gone for 2, gotten the 2 and lost the game, and the Chargers win, and I don't get Doug winning, and I lose my bet by a half,
that would be brutal.
I would have lost it. So I'm actually really happy they came back to win, and that's not for that reason alone.
Yeah.
But pretty amazing, man. And again, obviously, we know how good a big game coach Doug is, but, in his first playoff game after Trevor Lawrence looked really bad against the Titans in that winning game, and then has about as bad a half as you will ever see. 4 picks, a quarterback having a playoff game, to come back and do what he did. He showed a lot of people a lot, I think, in that game.
He did. I also think what you saw more was Doug is just a big game head coach. The way he can coach it up, coaching around how bad Trevor Lawrence has played the last week.
Keeping your guys,
he was terrible against the Titans.
Keeping your guys in that, keeping your guys locked in, focused, all that stuff.
Now they'll lose to the Chiefs.
And look, he got lucky because, in addition, and not only should Brandon Staley be fired for the Mike Williams thing for just losing that game, period, fired the offensive coordinator too. I mean, how are you not running the football?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Austin Eckler had 12 carries in the whole game. Not even. I think it was 8 carries. It was something crazy.
Well,
what are you doing? This is insane.
And the coaching difference is not the same, obviously. But if we're gonna do the whole Brian Dable could win the game for him thing, watching Doug win that game for them is an example of how much little coaching decisions in the playoffs
no doubt.
really, really, really matter.
No
and
doubt.
I think we're confident Brian Dable is going to make the right ones. And I think you should have confidence in Sirianni too. But Doug showed how much the guy on the sideline can really, really impact things. Because the Jaguars, I think, are, it's not as big of a talent discrepancy between the Eagles and Giants.
Chargers are more talented.
Yeah, the Chargers are more talented.
And Herbert is better. We'll see what happens. I think most people think he's better than Lawrence, but he's certainly played a lot more NFL games.
He's got fewer playoff wins.
Yeah,
and they lost head to head.
That's my point. But I'm with you. I'm saying, you would say that in every way going in, other than Doug, the Chargers had the advantage.
100%.
You know? So, and especially for the Jaguars team that had no playoff experience, were the worst team in football last year, Chargers at least were in it last year. So yeah, I thought really impressive win from Doug there.
Just happy for Doug. And also just highlights the dude's a great head coach. And all the, this will be super quick, but it was Carson. It wasn't Doug. It was Carson. Yeah, Doug holds blame.
We said it in the moment. We all agreed, and Doug holds blame and the issues and all that. But and look, I think it all worked out. Like
I don't think he'd be as good
when
here.
Andy left, and like it was like just time.
Yeah,
it worked out for
100%.
Andy there, but it wasn't.
The time was just a little shorter.
Yeah, and I think Doug, it should have been longer. We both did, but look, we're all happy with Nick. But Doug's the man. We freaking love him. We love him as much as anyone who's left this city and gone somewhere else. As I could possibly think of. Also, what you pointed out to me this morning, I didn't even think about till this morning. Doug Andy. Super fun next round. We have a Saturday. That's fun so we have a Saturday of watching Doug and Andy, then Eagles Giants.
Oh, I mean, we won't have a show.
That's a hell of a. I don't think they'll carry that. I think we'll be on the radio.
Probably, yeah.
But either way, I mean, what a day of football that is. All right. Quickly, what'd you make? Because again, like, I don't think at any point we thought they were going to lose the game, but the Bills did have a chance to lose that game.
They did.
Skylar freaking Thompson and Mike McDaniel blew it at the end. On the whole, I think he deserves credit for having his team even that close. He was
bad late game.
But that was a horrible.
Now he's playing with the third string, so who knows?
Regardless, it was a bad moment.
100%.
But regardless, just your overall take on the fact that the Bills, the team that we thought coming in, were going to have this huge, like they were already, if not the most talented, one of the most talented teams, and had this huge motivating factor behind them. Really tight, didn't show up the same way. What'd you make of it?
I mean, it's really hard to win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think would be the ultimate take. And, you said you'll probably take the Eagles to cover. I do think the games this weekend lend you to believe
tighter games.
Yeah. And especially the first playoff game for the Eagles too, right? But I think that.
Yeah, potential for Ross.
Yeah. And no, so the Bills, right? On one hand, I think you can look at them and go, wow, they're not playing that great. And they're not been the team everybody thought they would be this year. On the other hand, you can look and go, they were they should have been the number 1 seed, obviously, with everything that happened. But they do win. So ultimately, I think I look at it and I go, that's probably a game where, they jumped out really early. The Dolphins come back.
Took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, I think it was a freak type of thing.
Josh Allen is really the thing because he had bad turnovers.
Yeah,
like
that's a constant all year. He turns the ball over.
Without that, the Dolphins are never in that game. And the Dolphins had some missed opportunities, too. That one Waddle drop was bad. The Hill drop was bad. But I will say, without that, they're not in the game. But he did turn it over, and Allen has been loose like that.
Well, that's the other takeaway from the weekend too, because I don't know how much you want to talk about Bengals Ravens, but the turnover was the play.
What was the reason they won? I mean, that fumble on the goal line, the putting it over the line, like that was wild. I actually looked away for a sec, saw the touchdown flash, looked back, and I was like, oh, I guess the Ravens just scored on the goal line, and then I saw the replay, and I was like, whoa!
I know, it's insane. Well, the other thing too is I always think, why doesn't every quarterback just stretch it out over the line?
I know,
and now we know why. But Bengals Ravens turnovers were huge. Turnovers kept the Dolphins in the game by the Bills. The Jaguars somehow overcame the turnovers, but obviously, So, if you talk about Eagles and what their strength is, they should be a team that takes care of the ball. They've done it consistently all year. Not as good as late, for sure. They've had turnover issues, but turnovers will probably be the deciding factor in their game as well. So take care of the ball. Like that's the key to the weekend. You don't have to win by 20 points. You're probably only going to win by 7 or less just because that's how the playoffs work. But take care of the ball, and I think you'll comfortably control.
All right, last thing before we get out of here, game that we will watch, but we'll watch with slightly less of an.
It's a shame. I was,
So yeah, I wanted to play the Giants. I was rooting for them to play the Giants. Like it's hard to watch the game and go like I wasn't like yay Giants, but I definitely preferred the Giants one because I think that is the best thing for the Eagles. I just do. But I was excited to watch this game tonight with these teams playing. And to the outcome have a big impact on our lives in that way, where we're like, all right, the winner of this is unbelievable. Now we'll just have to get on the Bet Parks app and bet a bunch on the game and feel that same feeling, that same thrill.
Yeah.
But
we would have done anyway.
And look, again, it's still we're watching a game with the potential where the winner of the game could be the team that faces the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. So that matters from that perspective too.
Yeah.
Your thoughts heading into this game tonight? I know heading into the weekend, I believe you thought Dallas was the favorite.
Yeah, and I would still go there. I mean. The Buccaneers just can't score. Like, that's my big thing. And it's actually the same thing with the Giants. I looked it up. I think the Buccaneers have been over 24 points once in their last 13 games or something like that.
Which was the most recent one. They put up 30 against the Panthers.
Yeah.
I know against the spread, there's something like 3-12 in their last. Like, they're so bad. They've been horrible against the spread. I think it's not that bad, but they've been real bad against the spread this year.
So the Giants have scored 24 points or more all year 3 times. So similar types of offenses, and that the Giants and Bucs both really struggle to score. To me, this is a legacy game for Dak. Like, you have to win this game if you're Dak. And I don't know what the contract situation is, but I do wonder if they lose this game, like what they do with that.
Well,
I would think it's really tough to move on
could
from
also
him.
be if they lose this one too, what do you do with Mike McCarthy?
Well, I think I don't think it's a question. I think if they lose the game, Mike McCarthy is gone.
I think so, but I mean, I generally think so. But he won the division 2 years ago, and he won 12 games. They didn't win that. So 12 games. I agree with you, but also if you have inside info that Sean Payton's probably already going to the Chargers, maybe don't fire McCarthy. I think there are other. I think they probably only definitely fire him if they think they're getting Payton. So I do, but either way, there is a lot, and also look, also on the other side of the ball, decent chance that if they lose, this is the last time we see Brady in Tampa. There are already so many rumblings about Vegas, about New England, about Miami, about all these other spots.
I was thinking about this, and this is a real one type of thing, but we're saying it live, so we'll have to debate if it's still real one territory. But if Dallas loses and they fire Mike McCarthy and they're able to get Sean Payton, do you think Tom Brady would go to Dallas? Because if he's going to leave Tampa, right?
Maybe a big market.
It's a way better destination.
Look,
I mean, Jerry Jones would move.
Here's where I'm at with Tom Brady. He can go anywhere, man. I like with my thing with Brady is at this point, after I thought he retired, after I thought he would never leave New England. Like, I don't know. After all the rumors with him and the Miami stuff, and and now there's the Vegas rumors. There was rumors he might go back to New England, which I don't see at all because I just don't think the team's good enough around him. But I could see maybe legacy-wise.
Yeah.
But ultimately with Brady, especially because I know that he's the kind of guy who just wants to win. He wants to win another. He wants to win another. Like, I could see anything happening. So I think with Tom Brady, I'll believe anything.
So the other interesting thing is Dak 8 interceptions in the last 5 games. Brady has 6. Like they're turning the ball over too.
That's interesting.
So
and again, we talk about McCarthy. Todd Bowles has been a horrendous head coach. This year,
I mean, probably the worst coaching matchup of the weekend in terms of head coaches. I thought John Harbaugh did a great job.
I think even Doug's greatness can't lift Staley, so that the combo.
That's a good point. Yeah, he was easily the worst head coach of the weekend.
The worst head coach of the weekend before too, heading in. And how about that?
So obviously you don't get to change your pick because you already made it official in the Parks Pod.
I'm picking the Bucs. I think the Bucs win.
Okay, I think Dallas wins.
And it is funny though because I do feel like less.
What's better for the Eagles? I think Dallas going.
I think Dallas winning is better. I think Dallas has a better chance to go into San Francisco and win from a matchup.
That's a good point.
Because I'd rather, as much as I still think they beat the Niners, like I'd rather face Dallas or Tampa than the Niners.
That's a good point.
So
that's a good point.
But look, I think either way it's interesting because, like I said, if Dallas wins, we get 3 of the final 4 being NFC East. We get the Cowboys Niners, which is a classic NFC matchup.
Yeah, it'll look cool on TV too.
It looks super cool. And then if not, we get Brady versus the Niners. That classic, his hometown team, the whole thing, and that's a fun one too. So I think either way, the final 4 in the NFC is going to be a pretty cool from a historic NFL perspective. Like 4 powerhouse franchises, which is neat.
And you know what I'm proud of us
I guess the Tampa Bay Bucks aren't a powerhouse, but Brady is.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. You know I'm proud of us? We didn't bring up a single time today. They beat them twice, so who knows about the third time?
By the way, so you want to hear what's so funny about that? And we had someone,
I have a stat on it.
Well, it's funny because we had someone on the midday show bring it up and be like, people always say this. Has anyone done any research?
Yeah.
He's like, because I looked it up and 18 times a team has beaten a team 3 times. He's like, I can't find anything about how many times teams had a chance to beat 3 and didn't. And this helps with that, as there's been around Eagles Twitter. The Eagles have never even had the chance before.
Yeah, they've never even had the chance.
They've never had the chance. They've never played a team for the 3rd time after beating them twice in their history. So my guess is that stat is just a fictional made up thing that because it never happens. And when it does, it probably is like even.
Well, okay. So when a team is 2-0.
Also real quick, it says a good team 3 times.
Well, and also we can debate if the second one even really counts. But
that's another good point. It should be, both from the Giants perspective and the Eagles perspective.
And for what it's worth, the first time the Eagles played the Giants played their starters and tried to win, but they also, remember, they were leading into that Washington game.
Which was they're basically winning.
So real quick, then we'll wrap it up.
Which is funny, just for the listeners, you'll
I knew this one would go long.
We said we were going to go like 15 minutes an episode. We're at like 40.
I knew, but this one makes sense.
I'm just joking. It's classic us.
It is classic us. It's a good way to start the morning. Having fun.
Good way to start the week, the run.
So I looked it up online last night, and look, who knows if this website's right? So put that out there. But they listed all the games. If there's been 17 times a team was 2-0 in the regular season and then played that team at home in the playoffs. So 17. Do you want to guess what the records are? Of the team that was 2-0. So 2-0 in the regular season and then at home.
13-4.
12-5.
Knew it. Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It's a really good way
like,
to put
is it possible? Of course. In fact, I bet that's almost 70-30. I'm bad at math.
Yeah, well, no, it's right there. Yeah.
Right around there.
Yeah. Look at you. Look at you. I love you. There's no big deal.
Yeah. Quick shout out. So on the special pod that we posted, like announcing this, I brought up the fact that, I'm doing the book drive this year, raising the books for touchdowns, and I'm trying to get to 5,000. And since then to now, people, I think I've gotten, almost $400 worth of donations or $300.
Wow.
So $5 a book. I'm trying to get to 5,000. I'm close. I'm probably like 300 books away now. So thanks everyone that took the time to donate.
Or where they
the
go?
link is pinned on my Twitter page. So it's the top one. It's a foundation where every book is $5. A new book goes into the home of a Philly student. It's about getting everybody on the right reading level by 4th grade, which is a really important year. Really trying to get to 5,000. I've done it where for a touchdown, every Eagles touchdown this year is a new book. So now it's a playoffs, and hopefully we got 3 more games to make this happen.
Make it happen, guys. I'm going to do it too. Let's all help do
Thank
that,
you for letting me
super
promote
important. As a parent, let me tell you, it's important.
Yeah.
So here's what so I'm not close to the amount I'm going to need if we get to the Super Bowl, but I figured, screw it, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out as we go. I'm going to bring either a take or a thought for every single one of these.
Oh, I love it. I was debating if we wanted to. Yeah, go ahead.
My takes and thoughts bag. I'm doing it for the whole thing. I'm emptying out the bag, and I'm nowhere close, but I'm going to add them as we go. So sometimes they'll just be dumb movie thoughts. Sometimes whatever.
They'll all be special to me.
But I'm going to start with one that's appropriate for the weekend.
Okay.
And I am very excited to have a game tonight. That's cool and all that. 3-game Saturday, 3-game Sunday. The fact that we waited around all day Saturday till 4:30 to watch football, which was excruciating.
Yeah.
And now, no one likes Monday Night Football. I'm happy with a game night. Sure. No one likes it. No one likes the extra weeknight. We have to stay up late. No one likes Tuesday being tiring. No one's sitting here all day going, can't wait. You know what would have been awesome? To watch football all day Saturday. That is my take to start. Super Wild Card Weekend should be all day Saturday, all day Sunday. This Monday night stuff, and not that I care that it's screwing the Cowboys, that's fine, but it isn't disadvantage. It's the freaking playoffs. A team should not have to automatically, no matter what, play on a short week. I get if you play on a Saturday or you play on a Sunday, you have to play on Saturday. It's the way it's always worked. You shouldn't be guaranteed a short week in the playoffs. Don't like it.
So I agree with the short week thing. I agree that there's very few weekends where me and you don't work at all. And it was really cool on Sunday just having boom, 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 game, right? And I had to go to a wedding on Saturday.
So you didn't feel it on Saturday. You went to a wedding, you had other stuff going on. Let me tell you, I guarantee that people listening, sitting there till 4:30 waiting for the playoffs.
Especially for the first one.
For the first one. That's what Wild Card Weekend is. It sucked. It was a bummer.
Here's where I will counter. It's going to be awesome tonight.
It'll be great tonight.
And it's another day of it,
But I think on the whole, I think that way is better. That's my first.
It's fine. I'm fine with it. I'm saying Monday night's awesome.
Good. All right. I'll bring a movie thought tomorrow, I think. All right. Everyone who tuned in live, thank you. That's amazing. We're going to be doing these around this time every single day. Again, until the Super Bowl, the weekends, when the weekends we'll be doing the Park Show,
the Go Birds
and the reaction pods
exactly.
and stuff. So every day we'll be here.
And let's be real, who's watching it in the morning?
That's
at 7 a.m.
So if you want to tune in, we love it. And otherwise, I'll be out. And again, I was about to say we'll be back later this week. We'll be back tomorrow. Every day until
day one of what is probably going to be a long run.
Day one. It's the Giants. We know that.
It's the playoffs.
The
moment is here.
I like that.
You like that?
The moment's here.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. Boom.
Remember, we don't end this until I hit live. Just so you know. Don't be firing off any takes you don't want.
Don't start cursing people.
Right, exactly. Talking bad about Kevin Francis.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. Shout out to Kevin.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin for listening.
All right. We'll make a bet when the Niners Eagles happens. All right. Until tomorrow. He's William James.